Hey everyone, it's Corey with Reel Filmmaking, and I'm in a rut. I am in a creative rut, and I wish I could say that I've only been in it for a couple weeks or like just the last month, but honestly, it has been probably the last half of this year that I've been in this creative rut, if not longer. And so today, I just wanted to take some time just to have a little bit of real talk, just talk about how I got into this rut, what's my process been mentally trying to navigate it, things I'm trying to do to pull myself out of it. Because hopefully, it feels like I'm kind of coming to the end of it, but just wanted to share, just all of this with you. And, maybe there's people watching this who can empathize, who can relate. Maybe there's stuff that you hear me say that might be good ideas, that things you could try, or maybe you watch this and be like, hey Corey, I've been there, let me drop you a line, let me give you a hand, and you could drop your tips for me. But yeah, filmmaking, as much as I wish it could always be like lighting tutorials and doing stuff with cameras and talking about like color grading and the image quality, really a lot of it is a mental game. It's a mental game of keeping your creativity alive and nourished and thriving, because if you lose your creativity, you essentially use your creative voice, and it's really hard when you get knocked down or you get the wind knocked out of you and just trying to figure out like how to get back up, how to stay in the game. So how did it all start? How did I lose my creative voice? I traded it away to the sea witch Ursula. No, I'm just kidding. But I think it all started last year, the back half of last year, 2024, where I was working on this short film Side Effects that I'm going to premiere here on the channel soon, hopefully by the end of the summer. And I wrote this short film, I produced it, I directed it, assembled the whole crew, got actor for it. It was my main passion project of the back end of 2024. There was other things I was working on, of course, doing other client work and stuff at work, but creatively, this was the main thing that I was doing. And I put so much of my time, my energy, my hope, all the things into it, put all my eggs in that basket. And one of the big driving factors for wanting to shoot it when I did was I wanted to get into film festivals. And so a big part of that is if you can submit early, you get reduced costs. And so all this stuff, basically from August to the end of December, I just went hard on this one project. I wanted to do things so right and get everything perfect and all that stuff. And, I didn't get everything perfect. As I poured myself out wholly into this project, I think that's really where the creative rut started to catch up to me, or I started to sink into the rut, whatever analogy you want to use there. But it wasn't until January of this year that I really started to feel just like burnt out, really felt like just creatively zapped, and I'm proud of Side Effects. I'm proud of what we did with that film, but it just took everything out of me, just playing every role on that film. And, I tried to diversify, bring in other people who are talented and better at the different aspects than me. Like, I didn't shoot it, I directed it, I wrote it, I did edit it. So, still wearing a lot of hats. That's the name of the micro budget, filmmaking game. But even still, I think I just ended up extending myself too much. And your body keeps score, your creativity keeps score. And so I think a lot of this year, I have been paying the price, been trying to recover from that. And I've even seen that in just my consistency on YouTube. And I like making YouTube videos, but I've just been so sapped of creativity that it's been hard to set up the camera, get the lights up, and, talk to all of you. And I want to inspire you or, build this community here. But when I've got no creativity, when I just got nothing, it feels like the last thing I want to do. And I found myself earlier this year wanting to do creative projects, but just not being able to physically and mentally get there to do that. And yeah, it's been hard. It's been a hard realization coming to the fact that you can go too hard on projects and that can come at a cost. I don't know the perfect solution to fixing that. You know, I'm a person who does like to be all in. You know, when I'm committed to a project, I want to be there all the way. But I think trying to find some balance in that has really kind of been my mantra this year. Things I've been doing to try to get out of the creative rut. And the big one, which is not great and nobody wants to hear, is I've just had to wait. I've just had to be still. I've had to be patient. And nobody wants to hear that because we live in a world, we live in a culture, particularly here in the West, where it's all about productivity, doing as much as you can all the time. How can I triple, quadruple my productivity? And there just comes a point where it's like we just can't physically, mentally, spiritually, just like our bodies, we can't handle that. And that's where I was, you know. It wasn't just side effects when I was doing all that stuff in the fall. You know, there was a lot of other things I was doing too, and just, you know, you bear so much. I'm working on this project and I'm doing other client work and I'm involved in other places and, you know, trying to have relationships with your friends and stuff with your family, and then just like the way of the world, trying to figure out what's going on with everything. It all comes at a cost, and creativity is like the first thing to go if you do not protect it. And coming back to peace and waiting and rest, that's what I've had to do to rebuild, essentially. I've had to rebuild this year and try to rebuild in a way where all those things don't overwhelm me. And when I extend out creatively, I'm trying to do so in a way where it doesn't just destroy me. It doesn't take everything. I want to put my everything and my all into a project, but just trying to look at how much and how often I do that, and like how long can I extend for those periods of times before I burn out. And rest has been a big part of just holistically being able to do that, being able to stop and to just think and reflect about, how did I get burned out? How did I get into a creative rut? You know, what are projects I'd like to do in the future? I was just going so much. I was so busy that it just never stopped to think about these things, to evaluate. Coming to a place where I just had to rest because I've got nothing else in the tank. It's hard and it's difficult because I want to be doing other creative things, but it's really good because it forced me to stop and think and consider what is most important and to count the costs. The next project I move into, I will very much be weighing and counting the cost of, you know, how does this align in all the different things creatively for me? You know, I know there's a reality of you got to work, you got to pay the bills, and I juggle that too. But in your creative tank, you know, you control that. And so making the decisions that are wise and correct for you is a huge thing, not just saying yes to every project. And the other big thing that I've really been doing to try to pull myself out of this creative rut is honestly stepping away from filmmaking. And what I mean by that is going to other creative interests, going to other places that bring me joy, that bring me happiness, because I was so burnt out. The well had run dry, so to speak, from pouring all my soul into side effects and overextending myself, that just filmmaking and the camera, they weren't fun anymore. Coming up with creative ideas of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, it wasn't fun. I just felt very just defeated every time I would think about those things, because I'd have new ideas and things I want to do, but just like, I just don't have capacity. I don't want to do this. It wasn't fun to think about that. I felt the same way in making videos of any kind. You know, you still got to do the client work. You still got to make the videos and pay the bills, but anything of the creative realm, even like making the videos here on the channel, I felt this way, or like, I just don't want to do this, or it's like I have these creative ideas, but I just don't feel like I have enough in me to execute them. But stepping away from filmmaking was a big thing. And so, you know, for me, I have a lot of other hobbies that I enjoy doing, that I find creativity from. And so, I mean, you can even see behind me, it's like I have music is a big part of my life. You know, I'm a musician, write music, play music, perform different places. And so, lean a little bit more into music. I'm also a big gamer. I love video games, and there's always a backlog of stuff to play. And going to these places, they allow my creative spirit in the filmmaking world to just heal and to mend and to build. And at the same time, I'm going to places and doing things that inspire creativity in a different way. And so when I come back to filmmaking, shooting stuff, writing new ideas for films that I want to make, I have these new creative experiences from playing music, from experiencing different games that can really help to light a new creative spark in my filmmaking, in my writing for my short films, in all the different projects that I want to do. But there's inspiration, there's living life, there's doing things, experiencing art in different mediums that engages my creativity in a different way. It makes me think about things differently. And really, that's what it's been. It hasn't been something crazy. It hasn't been like a 12-step process to get me back to picking up my camera and filming stuff. It's just been time to rest, time to rebuild myself, time to evaluate where I came from, how did I get to burnout, how do I avoid that, and just time setting down filmmaking and going and engaging in other creative mediums, just experiencing life, experiencing creativity in other ways besides behind the camera. It's kind of been through those two things that I feel like I've been able to heal and to mend a lot of the burnout, a lot of the creative rut that I've been in, and hopefully come out of a creative rut to the point that maybe this fall I'll be able to tackle a project, a new short film, maybe something else, and just even be in a place healthy enough to be able to give it the time and the effort and the creative energy that it deserves, because I want my projects to get all of me. I want them to get the best version of Corey. And I can't do that if I'm burnt out or if I'm in a creative rut. Yeah, thanks for listening to this video. Again, it's just real talk. It's not about cameras. So much of filmmaking is a mental game. And so I just feel like filmmaking, YouTube, and all that, we need more videos about this. We need more videos about the struggle. It's so much about mentally, how do you stay in the game? How do you continue to operate? How do you do any of these number of things? How do you hold on to your creativity? And, my hope going forward is, in the mix of the other videos I do, that I can just share more of these real talk moments with all of you. I'd love to hear any and all of your thoughts about this down in the comments. If you have stuff that has helped you get out of creative ruts, please let me know. I'm not fully out of this one, so anything that you can give me. So until next time, keep making movies and watching movies, and I'll see you on Reel Filmmaking.